Hey band, it's Mr. Anderson here. So today the lesson is going to be about building scales. We've already done some lessons about building scales. I've shown you the circle of fifths, which gives you an idea about key signatures, and I have shown you the lesson on whole steps and half steps in a scale, so you can build a scale just if you know where the whole steps and half steps are. Today I want to walk you through a little bit about how I taught you scales in the past, going from the extended scales and through to the 5-note scales that we've been using in 7th and 8th grade. And I want to show you how we can build a full scale, what I call a 9-note scale, even though scales usually just have 8 notes, using 2 5-note scales. I think this is a great way to build velocity. So let's start with where it all began. In beginning band, you had a scale sheet that looks something like what's on the page now. This is the full extended scales that includes more notes than we learned in beginning band, but it was the same general idea. You can see the notes of the scale. You can see that they're labeled do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, etc., going forever in both directions. So when we first learned to play a scale, we used only the notes that we learned so far. And it started off being just those notes there, going from do up to so. And then as we progressed, we learned more and more notes, from do to la down to ti. And eventually we had it where we could play from do all the way up to do or re, and then back down to ti or la. So when we got to that point, it sounded something like this. Now, learning our scales in this way was a good way to learn all the notes that belong in a key. Now, there's another lesson we'll be doing soon in the circle of fifths where we can see how we can use the circle of fifths to derive exactly what notes are in the key, aside from just knowing what the key signature is, but knowing the entire set of notes that belongs in the key, which serves the same purpose as what we learned here on this page. As we progressed through music, we got into 7th grade, we were worried more about velocity, being able to play with technique. So we got to the point where we're doing 5-note scales. Now, 5-note scales, it looks like a step backward from what we just did, the full extended scale, but the reason that we did it was so that we could work on that speed, that finger technique. I'm going to play the 5-note scale here for me. And as a trumpet player, it's in the key of C. This is the key we would call concert B flat. So on a trumpet, the 5-note scale on the key of B flat sounds like this. Now here I repeated that scale 3 times before I went under the arpeggio. Of course, when we do it in class, we have a different pattern of articulations that we use. I didn't do it this time. I just played it tongued through all of the repeats. Now, this is great for working on velocity, and we're all pretty good at doing it in the keys that we're good at. I know that the concert band students, you can play in concert B flat, C, E flat, F, and G when it comes to 5-note scales. The advanced band, the wind ensemble, we've been working on doing all 12 keys, and some of you can do it better than others in those difficult keys. Certainly the more difficult ones are the ones that have more sharp and flat signs. We want to practice to the point where we can do all of them equally well. But I have to tell you, it's a big chore to practice F sharp so long that the F sharp scale is just as easy as B flat, because it's just not going to happen. F sharp, it's tricky finger wise on all of our instruments. All right, so the next step I want you to work on is to work on velocity in larger chunks, and that'd be playing what I call 9-note scales. Now, if you went to your math teacher and you told them that 5 plus 5 equals 9, they would think you're crazy. But here's what I mean by that. I'm going to be playing on this screen scale number 2. It's concert B flat, so again, on trumpet, it's my C scale. Now notice that at the beginning of this section right here, we're playing in key of C. It's the exact same 5-note scale that I just played for you. Now notice on the screen here, right next to it, I have a 5-note scale that starts on the highest note of the last 5-note scale. So in this case, it's concert F, or for trumpet, it's my G. Now, you might be wondering how you get then 5 plus 5 equals 9. And the answer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now 5 is the same as 1 in the next scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I count all those, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I end up with a 9-note scale. So even though they're two 5-note scales, because they overlap by 1 note, we get a 9-note scale. So if I played the entire exercise number 2 here, it includes the 5-note scale that starts in concert B flat, the 5-note scale that starts in concert F, and then here's the full concert B flat 9-note scale with an extended arpeggio, and it sounds like this. Now that time you may have noticed that I varied the articulation. With all these repeated ones, you can practice them using any articulation pattern that you'd like. You want to make sure that you're working on being consistent with those patterns. I'm not sure that I met the bar of being consistent. When I played it just now, I changed the articulation patterns as I went through it. So I recommend in this one that you're playing through the keys that you already are successful at. So you'll see here on this page, which is attached in Google Classroom, I've got concert A flat, concert B flat, concert C, concert E flat, and concert F. And each of those are made up with the scales that we're all successful at already, which the 5-note scales would be concert B flat, concert C, concert E flat, concert F, concert G. And from those scales, we're able to make these 9-note scales here. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, hey, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you later.